Over 100 people said they were coming to my first home bakery pop-up in New York City, and most of them had never tried my pastries before, so this wasn't just another bake sale. This was my first impression with over 100 people that could make or break my reputation. But then I burned all my butter mochi, my rolls came out unsellable the morning of the pop-up, and I had to ask myself, did I sign up for more than I could handle? We have just 6 days until my very first pop-up since relaunching my home bakery in New York City. For this event, I am partnering up with my friend who runs a pop-up tea house called Casa Sui. So I'll be bringing all the pastries and he'll be making the hojicha lattes at the event. It's gonna be a one-day event from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. kindly hosted by the wonderful team at Ansā Micro Coffee Roastery in Soho. It sounds amazing right now, but there's only 6 days until the event and I still have a lot to figure out. The most important thing I need to do today is to actually plan how much of each item I'm gonna prep. So for the menu, we're gonna have mango coconut sago butter mochi, black sesame praline milk rolls, and jasmine matcha ganache madeleines. Out of those three things, the black sesame praline milk rolls are the only one that I've actually sold before, which means I don't actually have data as to which of those I should prepare the most of. So this afternoon, I made a story on Instagram asking people to pick out of those three which they would order, and we'll use that to decide how much of each item I should actually prepare. Checking the results, it looks like the most popular by far is gonna be the jasmine matcha ganache madeleines. Then second in popularity was the black sesame praline milk roll, and then the close third is mango coconut sago butter mochi. We already created a Partiful event a few weeks ago. We've been gathering RSVP'd, and right now 113 people said that they're going. I mean, that's a lot of people. Assuming 113 people said they're going, I'm gonna estimate that 70% of the people will actually show up. Maybe 15 people just going to the coffee shop and don't know about the pop-up are gonna stop by our setup. If 90% of those people buy something and the average order size is 1.5 items, that would mean I need to prep a total of 127 items. So I'm just gonna use that and plug in the ratios of what people picked in the poll to decide how much of each of those three items to prepare. 50 jasmine matcha ganache madeleines, 40 black sesame praline milk rolls, and 37 mango coconut sago butter mochi. It is Wednesday and it is Madeleine Day, so today I need to make 55 of the jasmine matcha ganache madeleines. I only have this one mold though, so I can make 16 at a time. So I'm just gonna prep the batter for all 55 of them, and then we're just gonna continuously butter, bake, wash, and repeat until we have a total of 55 madeleines. This is gonna take a while, so let's do it. I thought these were gonna be the most straightforward to make, but having to cool each batch enough to demold, re-butter, and pipe in the next batch meant just baking 4 batches took a good few hours, and by the time I finished decorating and filling all 55 madeleines, it was already midnight. But at least that's one item down, just 2 to go with 3 days left. I started tackling the mango coconut sago butter mochi, but I still had one major problem, which was figuring out how I was going to actually package and transport everything to the pop-up. Got a bunch of stuff for the pop-up, so I thought it would be fun to do a little unboxing. This is my first time getting wax paper bags. I ordered stickers that I have to go pick up, but I'll put a little sticker here as well. Cute, lightweight, easy packaging. I have not actually used this before though, so we'll have to see how that actually turns out in terms of a packaging process at the event. I got these mini charcuterie containers. I got this specifically to put the black sesame praline milk rolls in because those have the black sesame praline and it does kind of drip down the side, so I want to make sure that's contained and not getting all over everything else. So that's why I specifically bought these boxes to put those in. Game plan is that the butter mochi and madeleines will go in the wax paper bag, and then the milk roll will go in this little box. Now we can move on to the largest box. I'm so excited about this. I think it's going to help so much with the pop-up. They are a pack of these huge storage containers. Wow, this is really good. I am planning to bring 40 of the black sesame praline milk rolls and have to pre-package them, but then 40 of these, it's hard to carry that. So I bought this thinking it would be a great way to put all the milk rolls in, and I think it's gonna be really helpful in the future for other events as well because it allows you to store so much in a flat, even layer. I was really looking for a container that's very wide, but also not too deep. That way I can really maximize putting as much as I can on a flat surface. But yeah, that's everything for this haul. Let's get back to cooking. It is Friday. There's only one more prep day until the event. And today we are doing mango, coconut, sago, butter mochi again. Yesterday, I made 2 huge trays of butter mochi just like this, and I thought it was going well. The first batch came out, I didn't see anything wrong. Put in the second batch, and then while the second batch was baking, it smelled like something was burning, and I kept looking at the butter mochi like, the top is so pale. I don't see anything that's burning, but I just smelled something was burning, kept letting it go. But once I took it out, I saw the issue, which is that the entire bottom of the butter mochi was white burnt, especially along the 2 edges. The bottoms were like black. And then once I checked the other batch, I realized that it had the same issue. I'm not sure why the first batch, I didn't notice any burning smell, but it was about the same degree of burnt. So the side pieces were completely unusable, but I was thinking whether or not I should keep the rest of the pieces in the middle section because they were white browned, but like when you actually ate the butter mochi, it didn't taste like there was anything wrong. But after sleeping on it, I decided that it just didn't feel good to sell them just because I knew they weren't my best work, and I really love this butter mochi and I want people to see the true potential of it. So I decided to go ahead, buy a few more bags of frozen mango and redo the whole process again today. That's what I spent all day today doing. I went out at 9 a.m. to go fetch the frozen mango, and then pretty much the last butter mochi came out at like 5:30 out of the oven. It's a very strenuous process, mostly because cooking down that large amount of mango takes hours, and it's also pretty dangerous. I actually burned my arm this morning, but I am super pleased with how these turned out today. I think unfortunately that's kind of how it goes when you're constantly developing new recipes and you haven't made it at that large of a scale. The previous times I made this, I never run into an issue where the bottom of the butter mochi was burning. Honestly, I would not have known unless I failed like I did. So that is 42 sub-optimal butter mochi. They're in the freezer now, but I'm gonna find a new home for them at some point. Still have a whole laundry list of things that need to be done for the pop-up. I feel like at this point I'm in a state where I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Can't even fathom how things are gonna turn out. But nonetheless, we gotta keep going. So let me cut up the rest of this butter mochi and let's see if I can pull it off.
After losing an entire day to butter mochi, I still had one more risky item to figure out: the black sesame milk rolls. These were the one item I knew would be the hardest to pull off the morning of the event, so before making the full batch of 40 rolls, I decided to test a few things.
It is now 11:43 and it's time to shape the black sesame milk rolls. I feel like there's an opportunity for the bread part to be even pillowy and softer, so that is what I'm testing out in a smaller batch before I go ahead and do that for the huge batch for 40 milk rolls. Another thing that I am testing this time, I'm gonna try out shaping the dough today, letting it proof a bit, and then tomorrow seeing how long it takes for the final proof to finish, because the event is at 10 a.m. on Sunday, which means I have to get there to prep at around 9 a.m., which means I have to leave the house at 8 a.m. And even if I wake up at 4 a.m., I feel like it's a little bit tight because last time it took 2 hours to fully proof the rolls in the morning from the fridge. I definitely need to wake up a lot earlier than 4 a.m. to have enough buffer to not only bake it, but cool it, package it, along with everything else that needs to be done in the morning. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and test out the new proofing strategy on a small scale before I commit to it. And the final test that we are doing is attempting to slice the dough into strips instead of into a giant log, because I feel like last time when making them in such a large batch, it was really hard to guarantee that the entire log was the same thickness throughout, and as a result, certain rolls were larger than the others. So this time, we're pre-cutting them into strips and rolling them up. I'm really hoping that's gonna make for super even rolls compared to last time. Oh no, this is definitely already turning out much messier, but maybe with the praline poured over the top, honestly, it won't matter. Good morning. The buns are proofed and ready to bake, so let's put them in the oven. Buns are out of the oven, they have fully cooled, and it is time to do a little taste test. In this version, the dough is just higher hydration. There's more butter and also the whole milk powder, so it should taste richer and softer. First impressions, I don't know if it's as soft as the recipe I used as the reference point, but it might be a touch softer than the previous version. Let's give it a try. Cheers! Specifically in the middle section, it definitely is more moist than the previous version, but I think because it's more moist now, it's lacking a little bit of the structure that I had before. Like, this is the kind of roll that you could really just like press down on and it doesn't really come back to the original size just because the dough itself is slightly stickier in texture. I'm gonna need to give it a little bit more thought as to whether this version is a better eating experience than the previous version.
In the end, I decided to play it safe and use a middle ground between the two versions. And because the rolls already looked messy before they went into the oven, I convinced myself the problem was definitely the shaping method, not the proofing method. So I moved forward with the proofing shortcut for the final batch, which I didn't know yet was going to be a huge mistake.
It's bright and early. I woke up at 4 a.m. to try to make sure I have enough time to finish everything. Buns are in the oven. Unfortunately, last night, the buns honestly took longer than expected. I forgot that for this amount of buns, I actually need to make the dough entirely from scratch twice. And that definitely did mean it took more time to finish the dough before I could shape all the rolls. And also in the end, I felt like the praline was slightly under toasted just because it's such a large batch. It's really difficult to evenly toast 1,000 grams of black sesame in just one single pot in one batch. So I spent some time trying to fix that as well. But yeah, this morning, outside of just finishing the buns, we need to finish prepping the boxes. I have to put stickers on all of the wax paper bags and cut out the menus and the item labels so that they're ready for the booth. Also need to update the square POS to have new items, retoast the mango coconut sago butter mochi, finally pack everything up, and hopefully I can get out the door at 8 a.m. So see you in a bit. At this point, I still had hope that everything was gonna go perfectly to plan. I was gonna be able to bake everything, pack everything, and maybe even have time to relax before heading to the event. But as soon as the first batch of black sesame milk rolls went into the oven, things started to go really downhill. And I mean pretty disastrous. The proofing method, which I actually tried on the black sesame rolls the day before, where you shape and proof the doughs, place them in the fridge, and morning of, you give it a little bit of a proof in the oven, and then immediately go ahead and bake them. I had thought it worked fine for the smaller batch of milk rolls. I thought they just looked kind of wonky because of the new shaping method that I tried, but it turns out that the bigger problem was probably this proofing method, because as soon as I took off the foil at the midway point of the bake, I could see a bunch of the rolls had basically exploded in size, while a few of them were still very short. The rolls on the perimeter of the pan were overproofed, while the rolls and dough in the center stayed pretty cold, basically the same height, and didn't rise at all. But because I proofed both of the trays of milk rolls at the same time, I was pretty much doomed from that point on. I tasted one and it still tasted and texture-wise felt amazing, but they just looked completely uneven and misshapen. Almost half the rolls I felt like were unsellable. The rest of the morning, I just spent all my time salvaging what I could from the milk rolls, decorating them, rebaking the butter mochi, packing everything up, all the way up to the very last minute. I had this huge elaborate plan, what shots I wanted to take at the event. I brought 3 of my cameras, had everything planned out, but by the time we got to the event, there was only 30 minutes left to set up everything, and there was already people waiting in the cafe for the pop-up. And as soon as it hit 10 a.m., it was like go, 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 because there was already a lot of people waiting, and the line became 20 people long. It went out of the cafe and around the corner. So the thought of getting footage just completely went out of my mind, and I was just 100% focused on trying to take the orders, pack everything, and keep the line moving. But once we got through the first hour to hour and a half, things felt a lot better. People were so kind, and the pastries and drinks just kept moving, and by the end of the pop-up, I was pretty much completely sold out of everything that I brought. So emotionally, I feel like it was a success, but let's take a look at the the final numbers together. In terms of the number of RSVPs, the latest number of how many people RSVP'd to our pop-up is 154 people. But now let's take a look at how many people actually came and ordered something. In total, we got 52 orders, and out of those 52 orders, I sold a total of 112 of my baked goods. Actually, that's really good. That means the average order size is something like 2 baked goods per order, which is much higher than what I've seen in the past. And this is in a 4-hour event where most people came just for me and John, my friend who owns the Casa Sui tea house. I've learned a ton from prepping and doing this pop-up, and honestly, it's the first time I've had a line and I was able to sell out of everything that I prepped. So I think this was a huge success. It felt so meaningful to see so many people come out of their way to the pop-up and to hear from so many of them that they truly enjoyed the pastries that I put my heart and soul into creating. With this pop-up, I'm really starting to feel that all the work is starting to pay off. Thank you so much for following along on my first New York City pop-up experience. I'm really grateful you're here for this chapter. As always, stay inspired and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!